Anger. It's this thing we all deal with, right? It feels so powerful, but man, can it be destructive. But here's a thought. What if the way we think we're supposed to fight it is completely backwards? That's exactly what we're diving into today, with a guide from a wise sage that tells a story, and trust me, it feels surprisingly relevant right now. So this guide comes from a really revered sage, Sri Swami Shivananda. And look, this isn't just your typical list of self-help tips. Nope. It gets its deepest lesson across through a story. It's about this holy man, a pretty bold claim he makes, and, well, the hidden enemy that he totally did not see coming. All right, so let's get into this story. It all starts at the home of a sadhu, that's a holy man, named Santananda. And Santananda, well, he wasn't shy about what he'd accomplished. He wanted everyone to know he'd done something pretty incredible. He literally put this sign up right outside his little cottage. I mean, can you imagine that? Putting it out there for the whole world to see. A public announcement that you have completely conquered anger. That's a huge claim. And of course, people started showing up in droves. They wanted to know his secrets. But there was this one guy. While his friend went inside to learn from the master, he just kind of hung back. He was skeptical, And he decides, he's going to put this holy man's big claim to the test. Okay, so what exactly was Santananda saying he'd mastered here? Let's take a quick pause before we get to the test, because to really get it, we need to understand what this guide says anger is in the first place. So Sivananda's philosophy makes this really critical connection. It says anger isn't just some random thing that happens to you. Nope. It's born from something already inside of us, an unfulfilled desire. I mean, think about it, right? When you really, really want something and you just can't get it, all that wanting energy, it has to go somewhere. And according to this, it transforms right into anger. And the guide really raises the stakes here by pulling from ancient scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita. This isn't just about being in a bad mood. Anger is framed as one of 3 gateways to a kind of hell on earth, a direct line to self-destruction, right up there with lust and greed. Whoa. And check out this chain reaction it lays out. It's actually kind of chilling when you see it step by step. It all starts with something simple, just wanting something. But when that gets blocked, it sours into anger. Then that anger leads to delusion. It clouds your judgment. Then your memory gets all fuzzy. Before you know it, your ability to reason is just gone. And the last step? You perish. We're talking spiritually lost. It's like this terrifying domino effect. So, how did Santananda say he broke this chain? Well, he wasn't keeping it a secret. He shared his whole toolkit, his step-by-step methods, with pretty much anyone who showed up at his door. And his toolkit was pretty comprehensive. You had some really practical physical things, like just drink some cold water, or hey, just walk away from the situation. Simple enough. But then there were these deep spiritual practices too. Things like Mona, which is a vow of silence to calm your mind, or Vichara, this kind of self-enquiry where you ask, who am I, to get to the root of the anger. And even cultivating something called sattva, which is all about purity in what you eat and what you think. And he'd tell every single visitor, look, it was a long, hard fight, but I won. In his mind, he wasn't just some guy keeping his temper in check anymore. No, he was basically the embodiment of pure love. For him, anger just wasn't a thing anymore. It was gone. But let's not forget about our skeptical friend, right? Because while Santananda is inside explaining how he's won this great victory, that little test is just getting started. And that steady stream of visitors, it's about to turn into a flood. The test itself was so simple, but honestly, it was brilliant. The friend just arranged for a bunch of people to line up, and the plan was the second one visitor leaves, another one walks right up to the door, no break, and asks the exact same question. And this cycle was just relentless. Every single time Santananda finished his whole long speech, every time he'd get up to finally go get something to eat or maybe rest for a minute, boom, a new face in the doorway asking to hear the entire story all over again. And you can just feel things start to shift, can't you? That little bit of annoyance starts creeping in. His voice gets a little sharper, a little more on edge. That perfect, holy calm starts to crack under all this repetitive, boring pressure. So the pressure just keeps building. Santananda turns to his own disciple, the guy who first came to visit, and tells him to send the new people away. But the disciple refuses, and the reason he gives, oh, the irony, is that he doesn't want to lose his own temper. And there it is. The dam just breaks. The man who claimed to have mastered anger absolutely explodes. He's yelling, he's making threats, he even slaps the young men. Just like that, in a split second, that whole complete mastery sign out front, it all comes crashing down.
So what on earth happened here? I mean, he had all the techniques, right? He knew the philosophy inside and out. But what the guide reveals is that Santananda's mistake wasn't his method. The problem was he completely failed to see who his real enemy was.
And this is really the heart of the whole lesson. See, Santananda was focused on the apparent path: willpower, techniques, pride, self-control. But the true path, the guide says, isn't about strength at all. It's about surrender. It's about humility, serving others, and completely crushing the very ego that was so darned proud of itself for conquering anger. So you see, he hadn't actually gotten rid of his anger. He just changed its shape. All the energy that used to go into rage was now just fueling his vanity, his pride. Anger just put on a new costume. Now it was the pride of being the man who never gets angry. And this is the real wisdom of the guide. True victory isn't about wrestling an emotion to the ground and making it submit. It's about finding all the little hiding places of that huge, tricky ego and dismantling it piece by piece. That's the real fight. It's just such a brilliant story because it points to this deep truth, right? That sometimes the things we're most proud of, our biggest proclaimed strengths, are really just our greatest weaknesses in a clever disguise. And that leaves us with a really powerful question, not just for some holy man in a story, but for all of us. What's the unseen enemy hiding behind your victory?